An ancient name of the Philippines is Ophir. How true is this? Let's find out. Ophir is a port, or region mentioned in the Bible, famous for its wealth. King Solomon received a cargo from Ophir every 3 years, stated in the books of Kings, 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 22, which consisted of gold, silver, sandalwood, pearls, ivory, apes, and peacocks. In the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 10 verses 6 to 13, New International Version. In verse 6, she said, the Queen of Sheba, to the king, the report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth you have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials, who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness. And she, the Queen of Sheba, gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices, and precious stones. Never again were so many spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Hiram's ships brought gold from Ophir, and from there they brought great cargoes of almug wood and precious stones. The king used the almug wood to make supports for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. So much almug wood has never been imported or seen since that day. In verse 13, King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for, besides what he had given her out of his royal bounty. Then she left and returned with her retinue to her own country. The prayer of King David for his son, King Solomon in the books of Psalm was answered, written in the books of Kings. In the books of Psalm, Psalm chapter 72 verses 10 to 11, of Solomon, these were written. May the kings of Tarshish and of distant shores bring tribute to him. May the kings of Sheba and Seba present him gifts. May all kings bow down to him, and all nations serve him. We know that Sheba and Ophir are from the eastern mount of the country, stated in Genesis chapter 10 verse 30. King Solomon had a fleet of trading ships at sea along with the ships of Hiram. Once every 3 years it returned, carrying gold, silver and ivory, and apes and baboons. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. The whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought a gift. Ophir in Genesis chapter 10, the table of nations, is said to be the name of one of the sons of Joktan. In the books of Genesis, Genesis chapter 10 verse 1. This is the account of Shem, Ham and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood. In Genesis chapter 10 verses 21 to 32, Ophir is part of the Semites, the son of Noah, named Shem. The Semites in verse 21, sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the sons of Eber. Verse 22, the sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether and Meshech. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his time the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah and Jobab. All these were sons of Joktan. The region where they lived stretched from Mesha toward Sephar, in the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages, in their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons, according to their lines of descent, within their nations. From these, the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. The famous gold of Ophir is referenced in several other books of the Hebrew Bible. The Ophirians live in Sephar. Obal, Sheba, Ophir, and Havilah, the sum of Joktan's sons, went to Sephar. The region where they lived stretched from Mesha toward Sephar, in the eastern hill country. See Genesis chapter 10 verse 30. According to Dr. Richard Vincent Narig, Sephar, which is written in Hebrew SPR, because according to him, there is no vowels in Hebrew, and getting the meaning of this through hermeneutics. Sephar in hermeneutics, say, with the root word, para, means the place of budding or origin. Also Sephar means book, scribe and numbering. In Genesis chapter 10 verse 30, Sephar is the eastern border of earth. This suggests that place in the eastern borders of Shem are China, Japan, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Philippines. The books of Kings and Chronicles tell of a joint expedition to Ophir by King Solomon and the Tyrian king Hiram I, from Ezion-Geber, a port on the Red Sea, that brought back large amounts of gold, precious stones and algum wood. Hiram sent his men, sailors who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men. In the books of Kings, 1 Kings chapter 9 verses 26 to 28. In verse 26, King Solomon also built ships at Ezion-Geber, which is near Elath, in Edom, on the shore of the Red Sea. And Hiram sent his men, navy, who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men. They sailed to Ophir and brought back 420 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon. King Solomon sent to Hiram, king of Tyre, saying, "Send me also cedar trees, fir trees, and algum trees, out of Lebanon." See 2 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 8. King Hiram ruled Tyre, a port city on the Mediterranean coastal region, historically known as Phoenicia, in Lebanon where great seafaring people once dwelt. King David already amassed the gold and silver to furnish the temple through his alliance with Hiram, as he was indeed bent on proceeding with the project. In 1 Chronicles chapter 28 verses 10 to 20, King David gave his son, Solomon with all the completed building plans and the exact amount of gold and silver needed to make all the temple articles. Ophir in Genesis chapter 10, the table of nations is said to be the name of one of the sons of Joktan. After the flood, Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, had sons. From these, the nations spread out over the earth through their sons. Ophir was a Semite. His ancestor was Shem, son of Noah. One of the son of Shem was Arphaxad. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and his son was Eber or Hebrew. Eber had two sons, one was named Peleg, his brother was named Joktan. Ophir was one of all sons of Joktan. The Ophirians lived in Sephar. According to the book of The Philippines is Ophir, or Greatest Ancient Sacred Secrets Decoded, by Dr. Narig, Ophir is island in the eastern part of the world. Sheba, the brother of Ophir that live in Sephar. Sephar is the eastern border of earth. This suggests that place in the eastern borders of Shem are China, Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan. According to Antonio de Morga and Antonio Pigafetta, Las Filipinas become the number one site of golds during ancient times, and rare in India and Japan. King Solomon built a fleet of ships to Ezion-Geber to get gold from Ophir, because it is an island or group of island. King Solomon received a cargo from Ophir every 3 years, which consisted of gold, silver, almugwood, pearls, ivory, apes, and peacocks. The king used the almugwood from Ophir to make supports for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen in Judah. According to Dr. Richard Vincent Narig, the word gopher, in Genesis chapter 6 verse 14, "Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. You shall make the ark with compartments, and cover it inside and out with pitch." The letter G of gopher is interchangeable in Hebrew with letter K, making it Kafir, the wood of atonement. Ophir almugwood, the red sandal wood, or nara. Almug or nara is the Kafir wood, or the wood of atonement. The wood used by Noah to build the ark. Nara is a majestic reddish hardwood tree, is endemic in the Philippine island, and the number one producer in East during the ancient times but very rare in Japan. Sephar also means origin of plants and animals. According to Dr. Narig, it is not accidentally discovered, but planned, and the building of the temple is a command from Yahweh that it should be the same or similitude of the things used there. It is described there as the word tabit, which means same place you got it and same kind, which is written in 1 Chronicles chapter 28 verses 13 to 19. In Jubilees chapter 8 verse 12, it is said there that Shem received the parts of the middle earth towards the south. In Jubilees chapter 8 verse 30, those countries which Shem receive are not hot and cold, but it is of blended cold and hot. According to the book of Jubilees, details of the dividing of land. This is the land which came forth for Japheth, and his sons is the portion of his inheritance which he should possess for himself and his sons, for their generations forever, 5 great islands, and a great land in the north. But it is cold. And the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is of blended cold and heat. Now, we can eliminate all the countries with cold and hot weather. This pertains that the inherited land of Shem, or maybe includes the portion of Southeast Asia. David had collected all gold, silver and bronze for the temple, all coming from Ophir, through Hiram's navy and his own navy. Now, Solomon was hiring Hiram to get more gold, silver, almugwood and other materials from Ophir, which the latter imported within a 3-year round-trip journey. In a round-trip travel we will conclude that, from Ezion Geber, by using a boat 30 miles per day, this will took 3 years round-trip. Then, the round-trip to India will took 6 months, and 4 years, round-trip to Japan. In conclusion, only the Philippines fit within a 3-year round-trip journey. That means about a year or so travel period going, another year for cutting and preparing wood, and mining, and purifying gold for shipping, and another year for the trip coming back. That includes, of course, buying ivory, apes, and peacocks for Solomon's use. To keep up with the story, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.